All right, all you positive heads. On this week's Soul Share episode, I'm very excited to have Dr. Bruce Lipton back on the show for the first time since 2016. Man, how time flies. Bruce is a stem cell biologist, thought leader, author of several books, including the highly influential Biology of Belief. Bruce, welcome back to the show, my friend.
I am excited to be here with you. And as I would mention to you earlier, is I'm also excited because we have an audience of interested people who are looking for some personal empowerment to get through the crazy times that we're experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm one of them. Yeah, it's been a wild ride lately, and I'm not sure what 2025 holds, but I have a feeling. What I hear from my astrologically inclined friends is there's a lot, going on with the outer planets aligning in a way they haven't in hundreds of years, and they're like, "Buckle up, Buttercup."
This is an upheaval apparently to through to 2027.
Wow.
So it's a chaos period. Just let's give a simple fact. And here's a fact that to sustain today's population around the world,
Mm-hmm.
it requires 1.6 planet Earth resources.
Wow.
Well, obviously the problem is this: we only have
We're
one
missing a
planet.
point six.
One planet. The 0.6 is coming from where? Well, we've been destroying the ecosystem to get that 0.6, and it's not sustainable. That's a simple point. We're
Mm,
actually destroying the environment, not recognizing we are a product of the environment. If
right.
the environment goes, so do we.
Yeah.
So we're given a little notice right now that we have to change the way we're living on this planet.
Yeah.
And that means a breakdown of current civilization because current civilization's behavior is actually creating the problem.
Yeah.
So it says there's a breakdown. I go, well, that's why we're noticing chaos all over the world.
Yeah.
Now, the point about it is this: you have two choices: hold on to the system that's falling down, or let go of the system that's falling down and move outside and start to live a life outside of this system.
Right.
And you and I both know, and our audiences really should know, the answer is let go of the existing system. It is
Yeah.
crashing.
Yeah.
And we have to take care of ourselves and not wait for like a government to take care of us. That's a bunch of BS.
Right.
Belief system.
Right.
Um, and the idea is we have to take care of ourselves. And the evolution is the evolution of community, which we
Right.
have lost.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what has always driven evolution. We're the ones going in the opposite direction. Now it's time for us to come back. And so I want to thank you for this opportunity to be here with you so we can discuss some of those interesting issues that we're facing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well said. Well, if you would, and of course, guys, you can go back to search Bruce Lipton. I could actually pull up the episode number and tell you guys, or you just search on the site. You can find original conversation from 2016. So I don't want to recut. There's so much to talk to you about. But if you would. At least give a quick moment of your background for those who this is their first time hearing from you.
Okay, well, I was trained as a research scientist, got a PhD at the University of Virginia, cloning stem cells. Now, people have heard about stem cells. I was cloning them back in 1967.
Oh,
And that
wow.
in that moment, there was only a handful of people in the whole world that even knew what a stem cell was. So I was in the right place at the right time
Wow.
to understand something. And the research led me to a professorship at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine,
Hmm.
and where I continued the research on stem cell and evolution. And the story that's really important is that the Darwin theory of evolution is a very destructive theory that we're paying for right now because its main premise is survival of the fittest in the
Hmm.
struggle for life,
Yeah.
which automatically says, well, Jesus, welcome to the world. We have a struggle for life. It's like, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Right. Right.
We created that struggle for life. And the simple reality is it's not survival of the fittest. That is a mistake. It's a survival of the fit. And you go, well, wait, what's the difference? I go, Well, there's the fit, and then there's some that are fitter, and then there are some that are the fittest. I
Mm-hmm.
go, what is this gradient? And the answer is simply this. Darwin wrote his theory at the time of Victorian England, and there was an upper class and a lower class. And the significance about that is the upper class was the cream of the crop, and they were the ones that said evolution comes from us,
Right.
not the lower people. So
Mm-hmm.
it didn't say survival of the fit, which is interesting because the definition of fit is capable of surviving.
Yeah.
So
Right.
everybody that use the word fit, we're capable of surviving. The fittest means the upper class, and today that's the 1% population
Yeah.
that has taken the money out of the system.
Yeah.
So the point about it is what? The conventional story is based on the belief that life is based on competition.
Mm-hmm.
The new understanding is no, life is based on cooperation.
Right.
And this is what we really have to come back to. Now, there's an essential part to this. And Brandon, if this is like, I can say it. I can say it so easily, and everybody goes, yeah. And I go, no, you have to understand what I'm saying is absolute science.
Mm-hmm.
I go, what is it? Well, we were programmed to believe in a Newtonian universe. I go, what's that? I go, well, the universe was divided into matter and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that what affects matter is matter and what affects energy is energy, but they don't interact with each other. So we've lived in a world leaving out the energy. I said, well, what is the energy in relation to us? I go, well, consciousness is an energy, spirituality is an energy, but we have discarded them because when we started doing a Newtonian view and said, if the body's made out of matter, it can only be affected by matter.
Right.
And I say, so what does that lead us to? Genes. Oh, genes. The belief that genes are the blueprints that control our life. Well, they are blueprints, but they don't control. And I said, what do you mean? I said, well, everyone says, well, genes turn on and off and control our lives. And I go, what did you learn in this education? I go, number one, you learned this. As far as we know, we didn't pick the genes we came with. If we don't like the characteristics, can't change the genes that we came with. And the hard part is genes turn on and off by themselves, which means all of a sudden you're a victim of your heredity.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever genes are running in your family apparently are the blueprints for the rest of your life.
Right.
And this is the fear. I got cancer running in the family, heart disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes. I go, oh, those are the controlled by genes. I go, genes are blueprints to make the body's parts. I go,
Mm-hmm.
so what's the relevant? And I go into an architect's office and ask her, is your blueprint on or off?
Yeah.
And she would
Right.
look at you, and the architect would say, what are you talking about? There's no such thing as on and off. A blueprint is a blueprint. I go, aha!
Mm-hmm.
The point about it is this. Yes, genes are blueprints, but they're controlled by an architect, and the architect turns out to be the mind.
Yeah.
And I go, well, is that a new idea? And I go, well, not really. Quantum physics, let me emphasize this is the point. Quantum physics is the most valid of all the sciences on this planet. There's no science with more truth and validity than quantum physics. I go, so what? I go, day one, quantum physics, 1927, Max Planck, founding father of quantum physics, wrote in 1927, the mind is the creator of all matter.
Bam.
And what it was based on was simply this. Quantum physics recognized that atoms, which we believe are the particles of matter, when you take them apart, oh, well, you got electrons and protons and neutrons, a little solar system. I say, yeah, but if you take those apart, what are protons made out of? What are electrons made out of? And the answer is energy.
Yeah.
In other words, everything is energy.
Yeah.
So the separation of matter and energy has been the biggest mistake we've ever made in our life. But as Max Planck said, it's the consciousness that shapes our experience of matter. Now you go, well, that was 1927. That was like 100 years ago. I go, in a more recent issue of the journal Nature, and I want to emphasize this, Nature is the most prestigious scientific journal on this planet. So what I'm telling you now, this is right out of Nature. It was an article by a physicist from Johns Hopkins, Richard Conn Henry. I don't need to read the article for you. It was called The Mental Universe, but let me just give you the last sentence. And the whole thing is in the last sentence. I go, what is it? The universe is immaterial. Well, basically, that's quantum physics. It's not made out of matter. The universe is made out of energy. So it's immaterial. So it goes, the universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. Live and enjoy. I go, wow. The most prestigious scientific journal has recognized a fact from physics that our consciousness, our mental activity, and our spiritual energy is what shapes our lives. And all of a sudden I go, well, if that's true, then we're creating from our consciousness. I go, and that's absolutely true. And then I go, well, if we're creators, which we are, then where the hell is all the mess coming from? Who's creating the mess? I'm not creating the mess. I go, well, yes, you are. I go, what do you mean? So here's the breakdown. Then we'll get into our discussion, Brandon, because I don't want to hold you back on it. But here's the breakdown. The mind is the architect that controls the genes in our behavior. I go, absolutely. But I say there are two minds, and we've always just called it the mind. I go, no, there are two pieces that make up the mind, and they have different functions. The latest evolution of the mind is right behind your forehead. It's a lobe of brain called the prefrontal cortex. This is the seat of what we call the conscious mind. Mm-hmm. The conscious mind is the creator mind. It has imagination, and from imagination you can manifest reality. Mm-hmm. People had, let's go to the moon. Great imagination, but we created the rocket ship and went to the moon. Why? Because if we can imagine it, we can manifest it. Right. Okay, so I say, great, conscious mind. Guess what? It has all your wishes and desires. I say, Brandon, tell me what you want from your life. And when you start to tell me, well, I want a great relationship. I want to have great health. I want to have money to take care of myself. I said, where does this thought come from? It's creative. Mm-hmm. It comes from the conscious mind. I go, okay, fine. Conscious mind, creative wishes and desires. Okay. The other mind is the more basic mind that was there first. It's called the subconscious mind. Sub means below. It's not operating where you're paying attention. Right now, your heart's beating, you're breathing, you're adjusting your body temperature, you're digesting your food, you're doing all this. I say, it has nothing to do with thinking. It's all operating below thinking, subconscious, okay? Right. The subconscious mind is not a creative mind. It is a program mind. I go, why? The brain is a computer, not like a computer. The brain is the most marvelous computer. And I go, so what? It functions the same as your laptop. I go, in what way? Well, in the old days, you buy a brand new computer, you come home. That was before they came with the programs, right? Mm-hmm. So you got a brand new computer, you come home, plug it in, push start, the screen boots up, and I say, okay, do something. You go, I can't. I go, a brand new computer. What are you talking about? And say, first, I have to put programs in, then I can access the computer. And I go, aha. Yeah. It turns out the human brain boots up 3 months before you're born. Wow. It's ready. The screen's on. Wow. But the fact is you can't use it until you put programs in. Yeah. Now listen to a fact. Your brain for the first 7 years of your life operates at a lower vibration than consciousness. I go, let's get the vibration thing. You could put wires on a person's head. It's called electroencephalograph, and you could read the electrical activity of the brain, and there are different levels of vibration. The higher the vibration, the higher the consciousness. The conscious level of vibration, the first level is called alpha vibration. Mm-hmm. But a child before age 7 is not in that level of vibration. It's in a lower level called theta. I go, well, what's theta? Characterized as imagination. I go,
Mhm.
yeah, this is where kids live in the first 7 years. Imaginary friends, imaginary games, imaginary this, imaginary that. That's part of their life function because theta is their operating system. I go, what else? And this is it. Theta is hypnosis.
Mm.
I go, so why? I say, how many rules do you have to know to be a member of a family? How many rules do you have to learn to be a member of a community? There's things you can do, there's things you can't do. You got to learn the rules. I go, there are thousands of rules. How's a kid under 7 going to learn 1,000 rules? Can't go to school, can't read the book. Nature took care of that. Nature said, you want to learn the rules? You're in a state of hypnosis. Watch your mother, watch your father,
Yeah.
watch your community,
Yeah.
because as you're watching them, you're downloading their behavior.
And you can see it in them. I mean, I just remember with my son how it was like he's just like taking it in, like whatever. It's just like you can just see it happening in real time.
That's it. And
Yeah.
people don't know that kids are in this phase. So kids are subjected to programs and beliefs that are actually very destructive. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, watch the news. Let the kid watch the news. I go, no,
Yeah.
because they're downloading that belief: war, violence,
Yep.
crime,
Yep.
blah blah blah, as a way of natural life. I go, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
So here's the point: 95% of our life comes from the program, not from the creative aspect. And I go, what's the point? Well, the creative aspect is you, your spirit, your personal identity. I go, yeah, but 95% of your life is coming from the programs you downloaded before age 7.
Yeah.
There's a reason, so let's just make it clear why this is true. And the answer is this: the conscious mind is very powerful, but it can do two things. I go, what? It can look out your eyes like the windshield of a car, and your conscious mind could drive you by looking at the world that you're living in and take you here and take you there. It'll drive you. But the conscious mind can also think. I go, so? Well, thinking is not looking out.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking is looking in.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a thought, you're going into your program and saying, oh, I have a thought. So I say, hey, Brandon, today's Tuesday. Hey, what are you doing on Thursday? Now, I asked Brandon that. It's not in front of written down in front of him right now, but I bet you can tell me in a minute or less. You can tell me what you're planning to do on Thursday. So
Right.
where'd you get that information, Brandon? I thought about it. I go, well,
Mm-hmm.
thinking meant then you went inside your head because thoughts are inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, so what's the difference? When you're paying attention, you're looking out at the world. When you're thinking, you're looking in at the mind. So I say, so what if you're driving the car and you're thinking about what you're going to do at the store? And I go, aha! The moment you were thinking about what you're doing in the store, you were not looking at the road. You were not paying attention. I go, oh, but I didn't hit anybody and the car's still going. I go,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you know why? And here's the answer: the subconscious is autopilot.
Yeah.
Whatever the conscious is busy not paying attention to,
Yeah.
the subconscious has a program.
Yeah.
So you taught it how to drive, that's a program.
Yep.
So what's the point? I can think, and the subconscious program of driving takes over, and it's seamless. You don't see it happening at all.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the point. More ultimately, and to get to the point, Brandon, and the point is simply this:
The
we are
point is, there is
creators.
no point now. Just kidding.
We are creators, and our conscious mind has our wishes and desires from which we can create a life that we would love. But we start thinking, and thinking takes 95% of the average person's day. I
Yeah.
go, so what does that mean? That means that 95% of the day, you are not using your creative mind to
Mm-hmm.
create your life. You're using your creative mind to think.
Yeah.
Then I said, well, then what's happening? So then your life is not being controlled by your wishes and desires. Your life is being controlled by your program.
Yeah.
And if you got good programs, hey, no problem.
Yeah.
If you got bad programs, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I go, so I'll give you an example for me. My father and mother had a very dysfunctional relationship, but I'm a kid. What do I know? I just download behavior.
Yeah.
And I download my father's behavior, which in my mother's behavior was, they were clashy.
Yeah. Right.
And the point, so I download relationship behavior by observing my father. You know what? It took me almost 50 years before I realized why I couldn't get a relationship, because 95% of the time, my behavior wasn't coming from the guy who wants to be the loving partner and the creator, friend, and love and all that. 95% of my program on relationship was coming straight out of my father's program, which I downloaded.
Yeah.
And it was totally dysfunctional, and I couldn't get a relationship. Now, the good side of the story, and the good side of the story is where you can rewrite the program if you know you have it.
Yeah.
But do you even know you have a program? The average person has zero idea they're playing a program. They just think they're victims of a world going out of control.
Yeah.
And the wake up call is this: you have been programmed. The movie The Matrix, not science fiction.
Right.
The movie The Matrix is a documentary. I go,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Well, the premise is everybody's been programmed. I go, well, that's true. Everybody's programmed for 7 years.
Yeah.
And then they talk about, if you take that red pill, you can get out of the
Yeah.
program.
Right. Right.
I go, and almost everybody out there in this audience, if they're over 16 or 18, has taken that red pill at least once, if not more. I go, and what happened? What was it? What changed? I go, you fell in love. And your life could have been blah, 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 every day playing programs. And then you fall in love. And 24 hours later, you're experiencing heaven on earth, the honeymoon. Life is beautiful. I love everything. Life is great. I go, blah, blah, blah. 24 hours later, now you are living your wishes and desires. I go, and the reason is this: it was now recognized when people fall in love, they stop thinking and they stay present. They stay in the present moment. So they're driving their vehicle with wishes and desires. I go, that's where the honeymoon, which is heaven on earth, came from. I go, so what's the point? Heaven on earth is always here. It's your program that keeps you from getting there.
Yeah. Right.
And when you change the program, you can manifest the reality. Finally, Bruce, will get to the last thing and let Brandon take over the show. And the last thing is this: well, you were being programmed actually 3 months before you were born and all the way up through age 7. So I say, so what are your programs? And you go, I go, wait, tell me the program you got before you were born. Oh, I can't. I wasn't there consciously. I go, no, you weren't. Okay, you were programmed a whole year from 0 to 1, programmed every day. Tell me the program you got when you were 0. Well, I have no idea. I wasn't there. You were programmed every day from 1 to 2. Tell me the program you got when you were 1. Okay, now here's the problem. You've been programmed. You have no idea what the programs are. Because when the program started going in, you weren't conscious at all of what was going on.
Yeah.
So now we're in a stuck place. And I go, what? Well, your life is run by programs, but you don't know the program.
Yeah.
Okay. And now the last little tidbit is this: your life is a printout of your program. 95% of it is the program. So if you want to know what the program is, look at your own life. And here's how I look at it: the things that I like that come into my life, they come in because I have programs to acknowledge those things. But the things I want, and I find myself working hard, putting effort in, sweating over, and I'm going to work hard, I'm going to make it. Why is it so hard to get to that destination? Whether it's a job, relationship, health that you're striving for and you're working hard to do it. And the answer is this: the programs that cover that are running the show, and you're trying to override the program. I go, not going to work very well.
Yeah.
You can change the program, but you can't override the program. So we can look at our lives right now and say this: the programs that give you what you want, they're already there, and that's why you got what you wanted. but the programs for things you wish for, desire, would love to, get to, and you're struggling, it's not because you can't have it. It's because the invisible programs working 95% of the day are interfering with that reality.
Mm.
And now, to the grand master of all, Brandon, here we are.
So the Grandmaster steps forward, realizing he's running Windows 95 with the 95%. Uh, so, how do we upgrade to the latest and greatest operating system? If most people are running Windows 95, and 95% is beneath the surface and keeping them really, a ceiling, right, on what they can break through and experience. And what does someone do to start, rewriting
Well,
the
okay.
program?
The first thing is very important is this. You have to realize you are playing a program. I go, what do you mean realize? I say,
Knowing is half the battle, as they used to say on the G.I. Joe cartoon at the end.
what we have to recognize is this, is that you're playing a program because you are thinking. I go, so what? I said, well, then when the program is playing, you're the only one that can't see it. I go, why not? Because you're not looking out, you're looking in while the program is coming out. So in my lectures, I say, you have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well. You know your friend's behavior. You happen to know your friend's parent. One day you see your friend has the same behavior as the parent.
Mm-hmm.
So you volunteer, you go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. I say, back away from Bill, because I'm going to tell you exactly what Bill said, and you already know it. And Bill will say, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, that is the point. Everyone else can see Bill behaves like his dad because they see the behavior coming from the program. The only one who can't see it is Bill, because he's playing the program when he's not paying attention.
Yeah.
And we are all Bill.
Yeah.
So you are playing these programs and you feel, oh my God, I'm a victim. These people have screwed me over and these people have messed me up and these people have interfered. I go, no, they were just participating with the program you were playing
Mm-hmm.
that you didn't see.
Mm.
And those programs are manifesting 95% of the day. So it really comes down to, first you have to identify, well, where am I having a program? And the answer is this: what are you struggling with?
Mm-hmm.
Because struggle is a sign of a program not supporting.
Mm. Yeah.
And then you can start to rewrite the program.
Mm-hmm.
Rewrite the program. Yes, you can rewrite the program. Otherwise, this is a crap interview. Oh, I'm
Bad
sorry.
news, everyone. Go home.
Go home and live with your lousy program. No. There are 3 ways to change the program because 2 of the ways are natural ways you got the program. I say, how'd you get the program? I say, for the first 7 years of your life, your brain was below consciousness, which is in theta, which is hypnosis imagination. So I said, well, if you want to change the program, get back into theta.
Great.
I said, well, how do you do that? And I go, aha, every night when you go to bed. At work, where we are right now, Brandon and I are at some level a higher vibration called beta, which is schoolroom focused consciousness. When we go home and hang out and relax, the vibration lowers it to alpha, which is calm consciousness. At the moment you fall asleep, alpha shuts off. You're not conscious. You are now asleep. But the next operating part of the brain is theta. So the moment you fall asleep, there's a period of time, a short period of time, where your brain is operating below alpha, theta, which is hypnosis. So if you put earbuds in or earphones on and you play a program you want to be true in your life, the moment you really start to fall asleep, you push play. And you'll probably hear some of the program, but in a very short moment, you will be sleeping. And the alpha part, consciousness, is not working, so you don't hear the program. But guess what? The subconscious mind is in record for a short period of time. It's in theta. So it's called self-hypnosis.
Mm.
And there are many different tapes at self-help stores and bookstores about health, wealth, relationships, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And you could put these on and play them at night, and you have to repeat it because theta is not a very long period, so you repeat it. But there'll be a day after you repeat it a number of times, and guess what? You'll wake up different
Yeah.
because now the program has changed in the subconscious. And once the program is changed, you don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part. If you made all the programs in your subconscious the same as the wishes and desires of the conscious mind, guess what?
Yeah.
Whether you're paying attention or you're not paying attention, you'll always be going toward the destination you choose.
Mm.
And you don't even have to think about it because it's automatic at that point, because your life is automatic now, but not with the program you want.
Yeah.
So number one, self-hypnosis, earphones, earbuds, nighttime, go to bed, put them
Yep.
in, program. Okay. You still learn programs after age 7. You learn how to drive a car, ride a bicycle, play a music instrument, and these are programs. Once you learned how to drive a car, you don't have to relearn how to drive a car. So I say, well, how did you learn programs after age 7? And the answer is practice,
Yeah.
repetition,
Yeah.
repeat. You are repeating. And as you repeat, you actually then are manifesting a program.
Yeah.
The more you practice, the more you're capable of doing it without thinking anymore.
Mm.
You can drive the car today without ever thinking about the details you had to pay attention to the first day you got into that car.
Right.
Where it was overwhelming. Oh my God, look out the mirrors out there. The
Yeah.
gas dashboard got the gas. Oh, my feet are on the pedals. Oh, you get in the car, you don't even think about that anymore. It's gone.
That's right.
Why? It's
Yeah.
automatic.
Yeah.
So the second way of putting a new program is to create a new behavior and practice it. And just repeat it and just repeat it, because that's how you make a habit.
Yeah.
And the subconscious mind is a habit mind.
Yeah.
So make new habit. Okay. Actors do this. They don't just learn the lines, the words of the movie. They learn the character of the
Right.
movie,
Right.
and they become that character. And it changes them physically and psychologically to become somebody else during that part where they're playing that character.
Yeah.
Many stories about actors that once they get into that character, they're not themselves now. They're playing a new character they become, and it even physically changes them. I always mention Renee Zellweger plays in The Diary of Bridget Jones. I go, so what? The character is 40 pounds heavier than Renee Zellweger. Guess what? She gets in the character. She gains the 40 pounds.
Yeah.
She becomes Bridget Jones.
Yeah.
And then the beautiful part is this. Movie's finished, day's over, done. She comes back to being Renee Zellweger, and she lost the 40 pounds and went back to her original weight again.
Yeah.
And the point about it is, why not pretend you're an actor?
Right.
And play the role you want to play. Well, then you're the author of that role. So you can create what you want and then just practice it like I'm a movie. I'm in a movie. I'm practicing my lines with you.
Yeah.
And
Well, I love that. Well, for one, my son is an actor, so I help him oftentimes with self tapes, and he's working on a new role, and he's got to get off book, as they call it, where it's like, once I know all my lines, now I can fully get into the character.
yes,
Is what he would say, because I don't have to think about the lines so much. I've programmed them. Now I can get into the nuance of actually being this character without this thought of how do I drive the car,
right.
So,
And you become the program. So you program it and then you become it.
Yeah.
And then you can change the program and come back to whatever you are free to be the creator.
Yeah.
This to me is the most exciting part in the whole world, because I didn't believe in spirituality. No, I was in genes and chromosomes and proteins, cell biology, blah, blah, blah. But once I understood the nature of quantum physics, it all of a sudden like, oh my God.
Yeah.
quantum physics is the whole significance. And let me tell you something, which I learned. There are no two people that are biologically the same. I go, what does that mean? I go, I cannot put my cells into Brandon because his immune system will look at my cells and say, not self.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon cannot put his cells into your body because if he did, your immune system will say, not self. So what does this mean? Your immune system can identify you as a separate entity than any other human on this planet. I go, how does it know how to do that? And the answer is, on the surface of your cells, there are proteins which are like antennas, like imagine like miniature television antennas. There's a set of protein receptors that are called, and get it, self receptors. What the hell are they? No two people in the whole world have the same sets, like a combination lock.
Mm.
Now, there are overlaps because there are many different pieces, but you can never get the whole complete thing overlapped.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point? You are different than everybody else in the world because your self receptors are on your cells and no other human has the same self receptors.
Mm.
Well, then wait, what the hell is a receptor? Well, that's what the name is what it is. Receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And I goes, where are these receptors? On the outside of the cell, on the outside surface.
Mm-hmm.
I go, so where do you think the signal is that they're receiving? Well, not from the inside. The antennas are on the outside.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I said, oh my God. Each of us is receiving a broadcast that no other human in the world is receiving at this moment.
Right.
Your identity is a broadcast picked up by your self receptors. No other human has the same set of self receptors. Okay? If I separate your cells, and this has been done, move your cells 350 miles away in a test tube, move cells, and I split the screen and have on a television live view and the recording of the electrical activity of your cells 350 miles away. This has been done. I said, so what's the result? If I have an emotional response instantaneously, the cells 350 miles away activate themselves.
Wow.
And it basically says, well, they're still connected to you. I go, they're not connected to my physical body.
Right.
They're connected to the broadcast.
Right.
And all of a sudden I said, well, wait a minute. No two people are receiving the same broadcast. Nope. No two people get the same one. Then I go, but the broadcast is not in the cell. Nope, it's outside the cell. Then I go, wait a minute. Then we are receivers of a broadcast. I go, yes, we are. And in quantum physics, we call the broadcast an energy field.
Yeah.
It's a field picked up by the antennas. I go, so what? I go, your energy field is here whether you are here or not.
Mm.
In other words, you're watching a TV show, the TV breaks, we say the TV's dead. I go, yep, it's not working anymore. Is the broadcast, did that die with the TV? I go, no, the broadcast's not in the TV, it comes to the TV.
Yeah.
It's like, well, wait a minute. My identity is an energy field picked up by a set of specialized antennas called self receptors. The field is outside of me, but plays through me. I go, then what's the meaning of all this? I say, we are the field.
Mm.
We're not the body. The body is receiving the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
The body is the equivalent of a television set.
Right.
And the mind is picking up the broadcast and playing through it. And then you might say to them, why have a body?
Mm-hmm.
And you ready? Because this is the greatest thing. Because it offers our spirit, our energy field. That's why the article in Nature said the universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. There's a spiritual broadcast that each is picking up. It gives us something called feelings. I can talk about love theoretically.
Right.
But love is a feeling in the body, pain, jealousy, happiness, all these things. These are feelings.
Yeah.
The feelings come from the mechanism of a body.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come into your body via the broadcast, you sense the world. You can smell it. You can see it. You can taste it. All the senses are coming from this.
Yeah.
But we're also creating. Why? Because that's the one that says wishes and desires. I want this. I want that. This is where I'm going. I go, oh my God, we are immortal creators. I go,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean? Well, you're not the body. You're the receiver of the broadcast. That's what the body is. If the body dies, it's like the television. It broke, it's dead, it doesn't work. But guess what? The broadcast is still there.
Yep.
So if an embryo in the future shows up with the same set of antennas,
Yep.
you're back,
Right.
but in a different TV.
Right.
And here's an important point. Does it make a difference if the TV is male or female? I go, nope, that's the TV. You are the broadcast. You are not the TV.
Yeah.
Does it make a difference if the TV is white, black, brown, red, yellow? I go, nope,
Yep.
you're not the TV. You're the broadcast.
Right.
All of us are broadcasts.
Yeah.
All of us are creators,
Mm-hmm.
but all of us have been programmed.
Right.
And this programming has been known for 400 years because the Jesuits would tell their followers, give me a child until it is 7, and I will show you the man.
Mm.
They knew what science now knows. First 7 years is program, and 95% of the rest of your life is program.
Mm.
And today the programming is much more effective than the Jesuits could ever imagine. When you see an infant with an iPad,
Yeah.
you are watching programming of a kid before, way before age 7.
Yeah.
And we have to recognize, to be parents, our responsibility is to ensure that our children get the best program.
Yeah.
And we have a tendency to criticize our kids because we think that makes them better. That's not good enough. Who do you think you are? You don't deserve this. With the ideas that would make the kid perform better.
Right.
But if the kid is under 7, they're not conscious, they're recording.
Yeah.
I go, so what's it mean? And here's the problem with most of the world. We've been so criticized as kids, and then that criticism is running 95% of our life. Not good enough, not smart enough, not deserving, not loving, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden I go, oh my God, our parents didn't know that when we were those infants, their words were not just words.
Yeah.
Their words were programs.
Like being etched in stone on our soul.
And we got to get through it. And all of us have to work through these things. But the idea is once you work through them, then you become free.
Yeah. Right.
And this is what the mission is today. We're living in a world we've been programmed to believe is a struggle, dangerous place, scary world that we live in. That's a program.
Right.
We came from a garden. Truly, humans evolved from this garden. I go, well, guess what? A garden is not a battleground. A garden is the height of cooperation. We have turned the garden into a battleground because of our behavior, and we are now destroying that battleground that we will no longer survive if we don't change our behavior.
Yeah.
And NASA scientists have given us 20 years.
Wow.
And yet a lot of people say 10 years. If we don't change within this time period, then civilization will be gone as far as we know because we're not sustainable. Wow. And that's where we started a long time ago, Brandon.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious, when you speak about that subject, your thought on, well, first of all, it can feel very like, oh my gosh, the world is such a big place. What can I do? I'm so disempowered. But then you take the idea of being this creator being and the idea of being in your own, as I like to put it, your own private YOU universe and shifting different potentials and realities and timelines to step into, like, as this moment we're sitting here, if I am writing the program and reinforcing the program, that I am stepping into the timeline where we come out of this and step into that golden age that we all know is a possibility, and we're on the precipice of, and from my perspective, probably all the potentials play out, right? There's the version from here where everything goes really poorly. There's a version down the road where everything really looks brighter, and all exist, and then we get the personal choice of where we navigate to. So curious your thoughts on that.
Well, this is exactly what the whole point is.
Yeah.
We are creators. We were supposed to be able to pass the creative character on to our children,
Mm-hmm.
but we have been programmed so we don't pass the positive side. We pass the program of disempowerment on
Right.
to our kids.
Right.
Who do you think you are? That
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the children that we have to live into that program.
Yeah.
And the idea is, yeah, but if we know it's a program, can we change it? And the answer is, well, damn right you can change it, because I'm a happy guy
Right.
for 40 years. Once I understood the nature of this,
Yeah.
how to change it. And the idea is, man, I'm 80 years old, but I'm not screwing around being 80. I'm not that old in my
80 years young.
consciousness, you know?
You're
Uh,
80
uh,
years
uh,
young. You're not 80 years old.
so, so the whole idea is what? And I'm going to be honest about it. I've been living heaven on earth for 40 years.
Mm.
I've been living outside of the system, inside the system.
Mm-hmm.
I do my work. I go to town. I buy the groceries, things
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying into it.
Yeah.
I'm not buying into their story.
Yeah.
I live with my partner, and we have friends, and all of our friends are also of the same vibration,
Mm-hmm.
the same energy, the same consciousness. It's called community,
Yep.
and supported by other people who believe the same thing that we believe.
Yeah.
And we create a different world right in the middle of all the craziness that's going on.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think that's an important piece for people too, to understand, that which is like unto itself is drawn, or water seeks its own level. So as you do this work on yourself and rewrite these programs, you're going to, there's people out there somewhere in the middle of, Idaho saying, oh, there's no one around me that thinks like this, and maybe not in this moment. Keep doing the
But
work
you'll find them.
and tell the
They'll find
program,
you.
and write the program that there is actually, it's inevitable that, you call this in. And
Right. Well, knowledge is power, and this is why your show, Brandon, is very important, because you offer power for people to take a look at their lives, try to understand the mechanics of what's going on in their life,
mm-hmm.
and ultimately what we can do to change that life. So I'm very honored to be with you, Brandon, because your show is giving knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the lack of knowledge that is creating the problems that we have on the planet right now.
Yeah.
So I want to acknowledge you, my dear friend, for the work that you do to enlighten people, because it's the only way it's going to change.
Yeah.
There's no pill
Yeah.
here.
Right.
This is up here.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that reflection. I'm curious what your thoughts are. I mean, since we talked last time, there's been a lot of advancements. You have AI as the forefront of, this, so many people are like, you don't even know yet, this is more important than the internet. We're like 1990, talking about this kind of thing and not really realizing the implication. So I'm curious what your view is on, the development of AI and how that's going to play into all
Well,
of this.
there's two levels of AI that I need to separate. One is AI where it's consciousness, awareness, learning, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
There's another version of AI that they want to enhance the body with putting computer chips and things inside the body. I go, look, you don't even realize how powerful you are right now.
Right.
You can exceed anything a damn chip can do in your body.
Right.
Yet, if you've been programmed that you are weak, you are powerless, then you're going to buy a chip and put it in. I go, don't ever do this stuff.
Yeah.
AI to help the job go along, AI to help become creative. That's fine,
Cool. Yeah.
but I would never, ever, ever try to enhance human biology by involving something put into your body.
Yeah.
Never do this at all.
I
Never.
think this is a great piece of advice. Instead, go and create the same effect within yourself by writing organic programs, right?
Right. And the beautiful part about all this is what is we don't have time to get into it, but uh, the future of our world is we came here to be creators. We didn't come here to be worker bees. We didn't come here from the movie The Matrix. I always remember they asked Morpheus, they said, "What's the function of the Matrix?" And he holds up a battery and he says, "To turn people into little energy batteries,
Right.
to do the job." I go, "Get out of that."
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and that's what the Matrix is. Disempower you. We have been so disempowered by every damn thing. With COVID was Jesus, how they disempowered us
Yeah.
because COVID wasn't serious except for the consciousness of it.
Yep. Right.
People who were healthy
Yeah.
didn't have a serious health problem when they got COVID. The ones who got sick were already sick
Right.
before they got the COVID.
Right.
And the idea about it, it was the fear.
Yeah.
And I go, so why is that important? I'll give you just one simple law of biology is when stress hormones are released into the body, they shut down the immune system.
Mm.
I go, well, there you go. Watch the TV, be scared to death, and then the same time you just lost your immune protection.
Yeah.
Now you're open and ripe for disease. And that's where this world is. The health crisis on this planet is escalating day by day, no matter how much money they put into it, because medicine is not approaching the topic in the right way.
Yeah.
And it's costing more and more money, and less health is coming out of the system.
Yeah. 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 It's an interesting time in our evolution, to be sure. And
Yes, but when you take your power back, it's like day and night.
yeah.
Once I started to take the power back, it was sort of like, oh my God, I want to create what I want to create. I've stopped creating what they told me I should be creating.
Mm-hmm.
And I love my life. I wake up every day with, oh my God, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want everybody to do that, because if everybody wakes up because they're happy to be alive and they're in love, then the planet is heaven. And that was bottom line was this. You think you die and go to heaven? Boy, was that a screw up. Why?
You're in
You were
eternity right
born.
now.
You
This
were
is
born
eternity.
here because this is where you manifest.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you create.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you have experiences.
Mm.
And your thoughts go back to your source. And that's why we were here. To
Yeah.
create this heaven on earth. Yes, if you've ever fallen in love, you touched it.
Yeah.
You touched it.
Yeah. 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 I always will say, like, we think of heaven and hell as this place we go to experience eternity. It's like, well, eternity is now. So where are you? Are you in heaven or are you in hell? Right?
Exactly. Most people are living by the edge of their seat or the pants. It's like so many people are caught in a situation that they miss a paycheck, they're out on the street. It's like,
Yeah.
holy shit,
Yeah.
this is a terrible situation, because it would never happen in community.
Well,
No one's on the street in
Mm,
community.
right, right. I like that. Well, this leads to an interesting question. As far as creating your reality in a way that is magical, and you referenced money there, and actually in my book, The Golden Key, I reference a story of yours that is a great example of, my book is Golden Key, Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance, and I reference your story with the biology of belief and needing a certain amount of resources, and you writing a program in order to create what you needed, in order to propel the book, and it's the opportunity that was in front of you, and how, well, maybe if you wouldn't mind, I always love a good story time. If you wouldn't mind sharing some of that story to give people, the person who's out there thinking, yeah, I am a paycheck away and I don't see a path forward because I'm stuck because I've got this program that I have to go to the job in order to manifest the thing, and I don't see a way out. Whereas your story is a great example of literally pulling resources from the ether in a way. And yeah, so maybe you could share a bit of that
Well, it
magical
basically
story.
comes down to consciousness, and most people that are in trouble are the conscious. Yeah, wait, there's a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Mm.
famous book.
Mm.
Richard Kiyosaki, I think is his
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
name.
Robert,
Uh,
maybe.
and what his premise was, which is valid, was that if you came from a rich family, you'll stay rich, and if you come from a poor family, you'll generally stay poor.
Yeah.
I go, why? Because the programming of rich people is completely different than the programming of poor people.
Yeah.
Poor people programming is we're in a hole, can't get out of this
Yep.
hole. We're
Yeah.
struggling, we're working real hard,
Yep.
but we're poor.
Yeah.
Okay, I go, that is a program.
Yeah.
Because if you buy it, then guess what? 95% of the day, you will do everything to stay in poverty because that's what the program is. I am impoverished. And the point about it is, you have to change the damn program. And once I started to recognize this, I started to look at every little program in my life that didn't seem to be serving me and go, let's rewrite it. Because once I knew how, oh, wait, you know what? Brandon, I didn't say number 3. First, I said self-hypnosis, earphones on at night.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, create a new behavior program and then practice it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, there's a new form of belief change. It's called energy psychology. On my website, I have like 25 different modalities of energy psychology. It is a different version of psychology, not the one your mom went to, okay? It's a psychology that has to do with uh, um, forgetting the past, and it's not forgetting it, but changing your response to the past. Meaning, we learned things, and then we had experiences, then we got beliefs, and then those beliefs then pretty much shape our lives. Okay, and the idea of this energy psychology says it's irrelevant who the messengers were in your life that gave you these messages. They're not here anymore anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, my mom did this and my dad did that, my friend, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Why? You walked away with a program.
Yep.
I do not need to go back. There's a famous saying, don't kill the messenger over the message. Meaning, you can go back and beat up on all those people that gave you bad program. I go, yeah, but that didn't change the message. That was not. You forget them. They already did their job. You
Yep.
got the program. Now it's time to change the program.
Right.
With energy psychology modalities, you can rewrite negative programs, many of the modalities, in 10, 15 minutes and walk away. It involves super learning processes. And to me, it's very critical because I use them,
Mm-hmm.
and with the most amazing effects of my whole life. Here's a guy who couldn't get a relationship off the ground for nearly 50, but for the last 30 years, I've been heaven on earth relationship with my partner, Margaret.
Mm.
We have been living the honeymoon for 30 years.
Wow.
Why? Because the honeymoon, you used it until you started thinking, because remember, the honeymoon happened when you stopped thinking, you stayed present, and your creative wishes and desires were manifesting. But then at some point you start thinking, and then the bad programs show up, and that's when your partner goes, who are you? Where did that come from? Because they didn't marry your program.
Mm.
They married you with your conscious wishes and desires. But when those negative programs start showing up, it throws a monkey wrench in the relationship, and then that's why relationships end.
Yeah.
And so basically it says, then what do you got to do right here? And I go, look at the program and change the program.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, to the benefit of what? Honeymoon for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I even wrote a book called The Honeymoon Effect. A guy who couldn't even get a relationship for 50 years writes a book on understanding the nature of how the honeymoon is a conscious process and that it allows you to create what you want, but you have to own what you did.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So energy psychology you're referencing is really different modalities or techniques to go back and sort of rewrite the past.
Yeah, basically, it doesn't rewrite the past, but what it does is eliminates the emotional part of the past.
Mm-hmm.
It's the emotions that carry forward: anger, hatred, jealousy. The individual acts are just summed up in the hate, anger,
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Right.
So the idea is energy psychology doesn't erase your history, because if it did, you'd have to repeat it again.
Yeah.
It just disconnects the emotion from it.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever put you in the wrong way and did something wrong and irritated you and all that, at this point, you say, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy did that, but I don't have the emotion for it anymore. It's
Right.
gone."
Right.
Because it's the emotions that emotion.
Energy and
The
motion.
emotion is what shapes your motion.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you eliminate those negative emotions, activate the positive emotions, then your whole life changes the direction you go in right away.
Yeah.
And it can be done super fast.
Mm-hmm. And as far as exploring some of those techniques, this is something you have outlined on your website. Is that what you were referencing?
Yeah, on my website, brucelipton.com. So that's simple,
Mm-hmm.
brucelipton.com. Under resources, there are belief change modalities, and I've listed 25 of them. The one that changed my life is one called Psych K, like psych-k.com.
Mm.
And God, 15-minute intervention, walk away different. It's like, oh my God, the miracle that I was seeking
Yeah.
was the ability to rewrite those programs within minutes and walk away.
Yeah. Right. Wow. Well, yeah, this has been incredible. And I know we're at about an hour now. How are you on time? Do you have time to share your story of manifesting the abundance you needed for Biology of Belief, or any other inspiring story? Because I think it's great for those to hear, especially that feel really locked into, like, yeah, how do I
Yeah.
really shift things outside of the limits of what I've been told is possible. A leads to B, B leads to C. I mean, that's a story where you went from A to Z real quick. And
Very, very quickly.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a real possibility when you step outside of your old programs. So
Absolutely. One of the first things I look, I used to be a professor at a university, and one day I walked off. And I walked off because my research revealed that what I was teaching in medical students about genes was completely wrong,
yeah,
because the new science I saw working with stem cells, it's called epigenetics.
mm-hmm.
And people, genetics, epigenetics. I go, genetics is a story that genes control the character of your life. Epigenetics is a revision and changes the whole meaning. I go, why? Epi means above.
Mm.
So I say this character is under epigenetic control. That means this character is under control above epi genes,
Mm-hmm.
above the genes.
Mm-hmm.
I go, well, what's controlling above the genes? The mind. The
Right.
consciousness is controlling the genes. But you don't know that.
Yeah.
You've been programmed that, oh, cancer is running in your family and cancer is caused by a gene. I go, there is no gene that causes cancer. Not one gene
Wow.
causes cancer.
Wow.
Cancer is a result of not living in harmony with your life. That's
Mm.
basically what it is. It's a symptom.
Mm.
It says you are not in harmony and your body is losing the community. And that's a body is a community of 50 trillion cells. Cancer is a breakdown in the community. Cancer is the equivalent of homeless cells.
Interesting.
That's just like the people on the street. I got cancer. They're using me, but they're not helping me. They're using my resources.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I had to change my belief system when I was out of the university. I didn't have any money, and I was living close to the edge, real close.
Mm.
And I remember one day my car broke down. I said, "Oh my God, I need this car. I need the car." And it's $1,000. Oh my God. Well, I put it on a credit card. but I had to pay it off. And at the end of that month, I earned $1,000 more out of giving a lecture that I didn't even count on.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, my computer broke. I said, "Oh my God, I need about $1,200, $1,500 for a computer. I don't have the money, but I need this for my work." At the end of the month, I had an extra couple $1,000. What was the point? If I would have lived and said, "I can't get there, I can't afford that computer," it would have screwed up my whole system.
Yeah.
But it was a creative aspect. I was creating in my mind, I need the car to drive. I need the computer to do the work. I didn't say, and I want to allow, a cruise in the Caribbean with a lot. And I didn't do that. What I needed is what I got. And I realized at some point, wait a minute, my limitation has always been because I said, I can't afford this. But when it came down, I needed it. My creation, whatever the way it created, I manifested the money.
Yeah. Right.
To the point that once I started learning that, I started to realize, wait, I don't need to live at the very edge. I don't go out and buy junk and, stuff like that. I buy what I need to do with my life.
Yep.
And I'm not worried about money for 40 years now.
Yeah.
And and I was living at one point on the streets of New York with no money for a while, for months in New York with no money. That was scary. I hit the bottom.
Yeah.
But I came out.
Yeah.
Okay. I love one story about when I first published the book Biology of Belief. We took all the money we had available. We had to pay for it in advance, $30,000 to get the publication. Well, the problem with that is when they're distributed, the distributor of the books doesn't pay you for at least 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
So very quickly, the story is, okay, I ordered the books. They haven't been printed yet. I get a call from a radio show called Coast to Coast, which was a nighttime show with 1 million listeners to it.
Yeah, I was a guest a couple years ago on that.
Yeah. And because somebody dropped out, they needed somebody, and somebody says I could talk. So they talked to me on the phone, realized, yeah, I can talk. We had conversation, everything was
definitely
great.
Can talk.
But I said, well, I don't. But my book won't come out for a period of time, so maybe I could do it later. But they needed me because somebody was missing.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. They said, we'll put you on again later. I said, okay.
It's kind of nice.
I got on the show, and when I talked about the show, with that many listeners, guess what? The books were sold out before I even got a copy.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, great. Uh-oh, what? I don't have any more money.
Yeah.
I have no more money and I have no books.
Yeah.
And Margaret is a manifester, and she has a process of consciously manifesting. And I'll never forget it because she went into the backyard, did her little process of manifesting. We need to get money to pay for some new books. 2 days or so later, a letter comes in the mail to her from her former, when she was married before. She and her husband bought into some building thing or something. And for 30 or more years, never heard from them. She had no memory it even existed.
Yeah.
And I love it because the letter was, in my mind, the shortest, most powerful letter ever. And it said, "We have sold the properties. Expect a very large check." Period. Period. Expect a large check. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
And it was Friday, so we couldn't call anybody. We had to wait till Monday. And I'll never forget it because Margaret's on the phone talking to the people about, well, how much is a very large check?
Right.
She said, how much is a very large check? And I see her go. She didn't have a word. She didn't say anything. She said, "Oh, thank you very much." And she put down the phone. $300,000 came from nowhere.
Wow.
Boom.
Yeah.
Don't worry about books anymore.
Yeah.
We bought all the books at that point.
Wow.
But what was the point? It was a request to the universe.
Yep.
Through a process of knowing if we are creators, then we can create things. It was a process that she does for manifesting, whatever way she does it, and manifested money to us out of thin air. She hadn't heard from him for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And many different things. Many different. I mean, uh, I love my life. I'm living heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Why? I'm out of their program. I'm not in the matrix.
Right.
I am now the creator of what's going on.
Yeah.
But it requires responsibility too, which most people don't. Oh, responsibility! No, don't say that word. I go, no. Unfortunately, that is the key word.
Yeah.
We have to be responsible for what we have done in the past, where we acknowledge, where we thought we were the victims, and start owning. Well, I think we were participants in everything that happened. I go, yes, you were.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then learn to change this whole mission statement, which we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would add to that, it's like, and if you are hearing these words and, out of the infinite things vying for your precious attention, you've been drawn to listen to, me and Bruce wax poetic about the stuff, then it's because it's such a close vibrational match to you. Bruce is merely a reflection of you, reflecting you back to you and your potential and what is available to you. So that's, congratulations, I would say, is in order for whoever's out there listening. Like, this can be you. You wouldn't be even finding this podcast or hearing these words, or, unless it was something, like I said earlier, that which is like unto itself is drawn, right? Water seeks its own level.
They didn't get here by accident.
Right. That's right. That's right.
That's it. Your life has a mission. And when you understand you're the creator and get out of the program, then you actually become a manifester of the life that you wish for and you desire. But that insidious programming is invisible.
Yeah.
And it plays when you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Sabotages you, and it can even sabotage your own children.
Yeah. Right.
Because you'll be playing those programs when they're downloading their programs.
Right. Right. Well, this has been amazing as expected. And if you would tell everyone out there, best place to contact you, follow you, to see what's next, what's up Bruce's sleeve in the future.
BruceLipton.com. That's everything we talked about is freely available, whether it's videos, audio, written articles. It's all free on the website.
Amazing. Well, I so appreciate you and your work and your enthusiasm. I mean, 80 years young is definitely a way to describe you. And, this is what it looks like when you figure out how to step out of the matrix and step into heaven on earth. So thank you for being the example, Bruce. It's been such a pleasure and an honor. And I look forward to connecting again sometime in the near future.
I look forward to doing that with you because you're in the right place doing the right thing, Brandon. So thank you for your contribution to get people to open up their minds so they could put something better in it than what was programmed.
Very well said. Thank you, my friend. And thank all of you out there for tuning in your beautiful brain waves and incredible hearts to another episode. Until next time, journey well. I love you so much. I love you so